Fucking leave me alone.
You are a slave, Neo.
You have no right not to be vaccinated.
A new major sci-fi.
33% per day.
Now is the time to do what's supposed.
These systems are now shaking. We're compromising them seriously with this unending and unpredictable stream of restrictions, lockdowns, regulations, and curfews. We're also undermining our entire monetary system with the provision of unending largesse from government coffers to ease the stress of COVID response. We're playing with fire. We've demolished 2 Christmas seasons in a row. Life is short. These are rare occasions. We're stopping kids from attending school. We're sowing mistrust in our institutions in a seriously dangerous manner. We're frightening people to make them comply. We're producing bureaucratic institutions that hypothetically hold public health in the highest regard, but subordinating all our properly political institutions to that end. Because we lack leadership and rely on ultimately unreliable opinion polls to govern broad-scale policy at the political level. I've never seen breakdown in institutional trust on this scale before in my lifetime. I was recently in Nashville, Tennessee. No lockdowns, no masks, no COVID regulations to speak of. People are going about their lives. Why can that be the case in Tennessee and in other U.S. states such as Florida when there are curfews in Quebec 2 years after the pandemic started with a vaccination rate of nearly 80%? When BC is still limiting social gatherings, when we are putting tremendous and unsustainable strain on all the complex systems that have served us so well and made us so comfortable in the midst of the troubles of our lives. The cure has become worse than the disease. I have recently spoken with senior advisors to provincial governments in Canada. There is no endgame in sight. The idea that Canadian policy is or should be governed by the science is not only not true, it's also not possible, as there is no simple pathway from the facts of science to the complexities of policy. We are deciding by opinion poll to live in fear and to become increasingly authoritarian in response to that fear. That's a danger too, and it's increasingly real. How long are we going to flail about, hiding behind our masks, afraid to send our children, who are in no danger more serious than risk of the flu, to school, charging university students full tuition for 10th-rate online education, pitting family member against family member over vaccine policy, and, most seriously, compromising the great economic engine upon which our health also depends, until we decide not to. There are no risk-free paths forward. There's only one risk or another. Pick your poison. That's the choice life offers. I am weary of living under the increasingly authoritarian dictates of a polity hyper-concerned with one risk and oblivious to all others. And things are shaking around us. Enough, Canadians. Enough, Canadian politicos. Enough masks. Enough social gathering limitations. Enough restaurant closures. Enough undermining of political and social trust. Make the bloody vaccines available to those who want them. Quit using force to ensure compliance on the part of those who don't. Some of the latter might be crazy, but by and large, they're no crazier than the rest of us. Set a date. Open the damn country back up before we wreck something we can't fix. For our rights, Canadians who aren't vaccinated now cannot leave the country.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Why is that? And look, I got vaccinated and people took me to task for that. And I thought, all right, I'll get the damn vaccine. Here's the deal, guys. I'll get the vaccine. You fucking leave me alone. And did that work? No. So stupid me. You know, that's how I feel about it. It's like, well, now I have to get tested for COVID when I come back into Canada. I have to get tested before I leave Canada. Now, you know, that might be the latter issue. That's an issue with the Americans. And so that's outside of the Canadian purview. But the restrictions to get back into Canada are even more stringent. It's like, well, why to get the vaccine then if you're not going to leave me alone? And I don't think the evidence that unvaccinated or that vaccinated people are less contagious, let's say, I don't think it's very compelling.
Yeah.
So why are the unvaccinated all of a sudden a danger? And I certainly don't understand the push to get children vaccinated. I think that's absolutely reprehensible. And I also can't figure out, Norman Doidge wrote a piece in Tablet called Needle Points. And one of the things he pointed out was that if you take the top 25 least trusted institutions, in that group, the most distrusted institutions include Big Pharma. Mm-hmm. And for good reason. And he details out the lawsuits that Big Pharma has had to pay because of misbehavior on their part, broadly speaking, multiple companies over the last 20 years. And they're the biggest lawsuits in American history, which is really saying something because your court system is set up so that big lawsuits are really possible.
Right.
And so I see the leftists, all of a sudden, it's like Big Pharma. Yeah, trust them. It's like, what? What? Really? You guys? I don't understand that at all. Like, and psychologically, so what's going on here? It's like, well, I think the underlying phenomenon is something like, well, as long as it's for health and safety, it's always good. And, you know, not to get conspiratorial here, but the same damn thing is going to happen with the climate change push.
Absolutely.
They're already it's already being reconfigured as, well, it's the biggest public health issue of our time. It's like, no, I don't think so. I think overreaching bureaucrats are the biggest health, the biggest challenge to our health of our time.